Welcome, everybody, to the Advanced Selling Podcast, the longest-running sales training podcast in the history of podcasts. My name is Bryan Neal.
My name is Bill Caskey.
Here every week for your listening enjoyment. Glad that you're here. We've been here every week for 17 and a half years. If you're brand new to the show, go to the podcast or go to the website of the podcast, advancedsellingpodcast.com. Go to our LinkedIn group. I like to post things in there. Got to find a way to stoke the LinkedIn group a little bit. Groups just aren't that active on LinkedIn. I wish
they're not.
They're not. I just wish they were more.
People are still joining them. I mean, we get 3 or 4 a week. People join, but then there's not much, and that's probably more up to us. Hey, I do want to talk about one thing that we forgot to talk about last week.
Oh, let's do it.
I've got this. We wrote this book called 12 Bold Moves, and it's the whole idea is that we went back and looked at all the insider content that we run an insider program every month. Mm-hmm. I went back and looked at it for the last 12 months. I took the most important things. Go to 12boldmoves.com, get your copy. We're actually doing an audio version of this too. It probably won't be done for another month, but because I don't know how to work the microphones and everything around here, so. But go to 12boldmoves.com. There's a lot of good stuff. This could be a 1-year training program for your people or for you. So 12boldmoves.com.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and that's inspired by The Insider. If you're not a member of The Insider, you should be a member of The Insider. That information is also on the website, advancedsellingpodcast.com. Live training with Bill once a week or once a month.
Okay. You have these pet peeves that you always bring up, which I love.
Yeah, I know you do.
I do. I love. I remember that.
Fuel to the fire. I know my audience. I know my partner.
I hate shirts that do this. Seriously. I mean, you think I was just looking at myself in the monitor. No. I like shirts that collars stick up like that.
Oh, it's
and
so funny.
I've since my little incident, I've lost probably 13 pounds. And so my double chin is not as prominent, but it's still there. And it always seems to me like this creates a little shadow back there that keeps it from. But every shirt I buy starts out the first week like that, boom. And then it's like this.
We need there's careful here. What's the clothing company? Is it Tom Henry? The guys that fly around, they're so persistent. The salespeople.
Thomas
James.
Tom James.
Yeah. Now we're going to get inundated with Tom James guys. Like, hey, I can help you with that, Bill. Seriously, but that is hilarious. It's little things. So I have instead of pylon. So I always wear a Blind Zebra T-shirt. It's my branding go-to every day. And I got some new ones, and the logo is screen printing is too close to the collar. So once I wear a little bit, it starts to bunch up at the top and makes like that little thing. See that?
Yeah.
And I got to keep pulling it down.
Pulling
it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Like I want to fire our T-shirt person. I'm like, we had good ones. Now what
happened? Yeah. All you had to do is redo it. Yeah.
Another pet peeve.
Well,
no, they're the same shirt. No, they're the same. I'm like, no, they're not. I promise you something different. And I can tell what it is. They put this too high.
Yeah.
It pulls. Anyway.
Yeah. And I'm that way with T-shirts. When I buy an athletic T-shirt, I like it to be a little snug, not way up here, but I like it to be like yours is. Yeah. And sometimes they drag down here.
They do.
And then I feel like I'm a 90-year-old man who can't find stuff to fit.
Oh, that's so funny. Welcome to Clothing Pet Peeves with Bill and Bryan, new podcast episode. So sponsored by Tom James.
We all have that shirt or that dress or that blouse that just fits us so well, and we love that. And then we wear it all the time, and then we dive into something else. It's like, there's something about this shirt. It's a little big here. It's like, oh God. I've never had custom clothes. Have you? Have you ever done custom clothes?
No, I haven't. No. And I love those Tom James.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, here comes the Tom James.
Well, they're just so persistent. They're just really good salespeople. Just not my bag.
Yeah. All right, topic.
Not my bag. What are we talking about today? This is going to be a little surprise, I think, to some of you, because Bill and I have spent most of our career, me upwards of like 27, 28 years, Bill probably a little bit more than that, as what you would, at its core, call us sales trainers, professional sales trainers. We're in the professional sales training industry, and it got a little cooler to say sales coaches. And we brought this topic up, and Bill's like, I've been thinking about this for a couple of years, and it's going to sound a little strange coming from us. But we have agreed that we don't think sales training as it is in today's world works at all. There are sales trainers running all over the country, all over the world, spewing tips and tricks and things. I'm sure at some point people would lump us into that thing because we do that on this podcast. Yeah. But there's a problem with the way it's been done, and it's been done a very similar way for a very long time. It doesn't seem to be getting any better.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to kick this around a little bit, that the answer is not sales training.
That's what I wrote down here. I wrote down, it's not that it doesn't work or there's not a place for it. It's not the answer like a lot of times people think it is.
That's great. And I think that's the default when either the leader of the company or the leaders look at the sales team and think it's deficient either in skill or performance or both. And they go, man, our people aren't as good as they need to be, or our results aren't there. Let's get them some sales training. That'll fix it.
That's right.
That is the wrong thing to do, coming from two sales trainers and two sales coaches from our history.
And why is that? Why do you? I've got a thought about that, but why do you think that is, that people immediately relate sales training to this "we're not selling enough" problem?
Yeah, the first thing is I don't think they know there's another option. They've never explored it at depth. It's a tactical checklist. Do that, fix that element first. Yeah. Specifically with the way the training is delivered and that sort of thing, it's a double whammy of the content and the delivery mechanism that is broken at its core. The people solve it with methodology. So everyone wants to talk about methodology. That's a fancy way to say a sales training program.
You sound smart.
I know. Then you have Challenger. It's like, what methodology to use? We were Medic. You get Challenger, Medic, Sandler, Spin. Those are the methodologies. But what does that even mean? And then I go teach people how to do it. And then there's no reinforcement to ensure that those things are being done in and around the calls. There's some.
There's some,
especially for inside salespeople where your calls are recorded. If you're an external salesperson, other than me visiting out in the field with you, I have no idea if you're following the Medic process. None.
What's Medic? Is that
Medic's another methodology? It's very popular.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a qualification methodology. Yeah. And then those are good. We're not dissing those. No. We're not saying those are bad. It's just that they're not sticky. Ask anyone who uses it. I mean, we know people that use these things, and they haven't evolved much. You know what I mean?
They haven't. And I've always said that well, not always. I didn't say this when I was like 7, but they're all, the through line of all of them is exactly the same. And that is, what do I need to do or say to get them to say yes?
That's it.
It's always everything, all the content is around that through line. When you think about a through line in a movie or a play, it's everything attaches to the through line. Nothing happens in a movie that is unrelated to the through line or the theme of the movie. And I think the theme and the through line here is, what do I need to say or do to get the prospect to say yes? And to me, that is a terrible through theme. If that's all you think about is what kind of move can I make to get the customer to say yes, you are leaving millions of dollars on the table. Millions.
And making it really, really difficult for you and more difficult for your customer.
For them, yeah.
For them, because they know this. And these methodologies are so popular that a good, astute buyer gets it immediately. They know exactly what's going on. Yeah. And they know the through line. The through line is, you're going to do these things to me or ask me these questions or identify the economic buyer or identify my pain so that you can get to yes on your deal. And it just oozes from that.
Yeah. Remember the book called Getting to Yes? Do you remember that book?
Yeah, totally.
And that was a big seller. Why? Because that's what everybody wants to get to, is yes.
Yes.
And we're, I know we're going to be people hearing this. It's like they get so bought into their methodology that they've drank the Kool-Aid. And I know this is true for a couple, that sometimes it's like the Kool-Aid has taken effect and the scales are on the eyes, and everything I see, this methodology, and yet they're not succeeding. They're not succeeding, and they don't. Right. They're blind to that because they're so into the methodology. Here's another thing that I think is a problem, and that is when a company comes to a sales coach or trainer, they want to train people, 12 people, and they don't want to pay for one-to-one because it's expensive, and it's hard on us to do one-to-one. It just takes a lot of time, and people don't want to pay for it. And yet, you don't train people as a group. We all have such individual proclivities and preferences and personalities, PP&P. We have such individual, uniquenesses, and our talents and our wisdom is unique. And yet we throw everybody into one bucket and say, here, we're going to teach you the 5 questions to ask. And I don't think we pay enough attention to the individual preferences. And I know sometimes we take tests to understand the Hogan or the DISC or whatever, but still, I still feel like we're playing a game there. And I'm wondering, I don't know. I just feel like that's one reason sales training doesn't work, is because we're trying to train everybody the same way on the same thing and the same method with the same trainer. And, some people aren't going to like me. Some people, I can't imagine this, but they don't like you. They don't like the way you talk. They don't like the way you challenge them. And if we say, well, it's either Bryan or nobody, or Bill or nobody, then they're stuck. And so I think there's an individual part of this that's not being paid attention to.
There are 2 things that I heard there. The first is the trainers become the star of the show. So we know some friends in the business, love, respect them, everything. And they go do a big rock show. You know what I mean? It's a big show for everybody. It's great. But that becomes, people get caught up in I saw someone take a picture and posted that said, I just met and filled in this really famous person's name. I'm not going to say it because they might be listening. It'd be like, I just met my Michael Jordan. It wasn't Michael Jordan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, careful. It's not about that. It's got to be about the thing, the process or the system it can't be about the person, because that person may not be there any longer either. People, I follow them or follow this. People don't follow us. They follow the Advanced Slang podcast. I hope that's why they listen. Now, well, I really like Bill and Bryan. They're cool and fun, whatever. But I want you to listen. The episodes are the star of the show.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be here way after Bill and I are.
Yeah.
They're going to stick around for you. So that's one issue is falling in love or getting enamored by the person, the deliverer. You got to get enamored by the stuff. Second thing I heard was the changing landscape of the way that people approach everything, including learning and digesting things, but then also including how they just approach life. I don't think any of the methodologies that I know or the training programs that I know have spoken to a younger generation and millennials and especially Gen Zs coming up at all. No. This group is the most authentic. The Gen Zs, even though they're like, my kids are all Gen Zs. Well, they're all on their phones all the time. They can see through bull baloney faster than anybody. And they hate getting sold to. They hate it. And they don't like cheesy stuff. They're very authentic. And so many of the things, because of the through line, are built around, I'm going to take you to a place, Bill, and you don't know I'm doing it. It's built on inauthentic, lack of authenticity. I'm trying to say something there. Nothing like proclivity. I don't even know what that means.
Inauthenticity.
Inauthenticity. I was trying to make my own big word up, but because everyone that listens for knows them.
I've written a couple down here that you missed. We'll come back to those.
Exactly. In a little bit. Thank you.
I mean,
it's the through line. That's it. Yeah. They're all based on poor intention. And then some will say, well, no. We want to get to know fast. Like, do you really though? Like, step back from the stuff. Is that really what it's meant to do? Yeah. And when it's being delivered to your sales team, is that the overriding theme that you want to get to know fast? You know what I mean? And then do you want to get to know like on purpose? Is it a game then? You know what I mean? To get the person to change their mind and say yes? I don't know.
Yeah. So here's the last thing I will add to that. I think those are all just stellar points, and we might want to get into this a little bit more in a future episode, because I think this opens up the can of worms, if you will. I think we should, we are very focused in the sales training coaching world, where we get the call and they say, we want our people to close a higher percentage of sales, and it becomes very focused. We're focusing in on that. How do we close? And sometimes we even say, what do my people need to do in the closing meeting to close more sales? And that's really focused. And I always like, whoa, wait a minute. We got to pull back and say, who are your people? Who do they even think they are in the process? What is their role? What's their mission? Is it just to close sales? Is that it? Is that all you got? We're in 2024 and that's all you talk about with your people is closing freaking sales? Really? And it's got to be more than that. But if we don't pull focus and say, what is sales, but what is sales achievement? What does it mean when I'm a salesperson, I've got a territory and I've got a region or whatever, and I have some goals. How do I achieve those goals? What's my achievement plan? Not what's my sales plan when I get in front of somebody. That's not enough.
Right.
So we get into planning and we get into leveraging your assets. How are you going to build your personal brand? How do you command? How are you a warrior in that region versus just a guy that goes out and talks to people and is really good talking to people?
Yes.
And I think we got to pull focus and say, what's the role of the sales achiever today? It is not just to sell crap to people. It is to run a territory where you can maximize the output from that by doing the right inputs.
That's what I think it is. It's efficient maximization of an area of territory. And how many times, Bill, have you heard people say, we tell our people, you got to run your territory like a business, run it like it's your own business.
But they don't mean
never,
that.
ever, and they don't know, and they don't even show them what that means and how to do that. And they teach them what to say when the customer gives them a price objection. Well, let me verify that. So if there was anything else, Bill, if we could get the price to a place, do you think you'd buy today? It's like, bleh.
Yeah.
And so all these things lack that. Like, what does that actually even mean?
And so how do we organize ourselves as companies and as people so that objection never happens?
It should never happen, ever.
Yeah, rather than working on the objection, which is the chosen path, because I can get paid a lot of money to go into a company and say, we're going to teach you how to handle objections. But that's not the issue. Is how do we orchestrate everything so that there are fewer objections or no objections? And how do we do that? There's a lot more to that. But if you get that right, you can scale your business phenomenally and not work on all those real tactical, mechanical things like you talked about.
Why don't we bring our own objections?
Why are we objecting? Why are we objecting?
Exactly. I'm like, what? We should have some thoughts, some critical thinking elements and things that pop up like, okay, this could be a problem for our implementation. They don't have enough people over there to do this. I got to check in on that. What if we oversell our capacity? You know what I mean? Just be like a normal human with an objective brain and get out of that through line.
Be a normal human. That's good. Hey, this is good because I can see that we're both passionate about this. And,
you think? I'm
and in the same way. And now that we got your microphone fixed, that makes things a lot. All right.
That's funny.
Hey, if you haven't gone to our LinkedIn group, go to advancedsellingpodcast.com/LinkedIn, or just look us up on LinkedIn. We've got 12, 14,000 people in that group waiting for us to do something.
Yes and yes.
We're going to do something. And also check out our solo episodes too. I know that you probably see it come through, but Bryan's done a few. I've done a few. I've got to get back on the stick. I've been bad. And we missed, I do want to acknowledge to our listeners, we missed a week. And
we did.
We don't usually do that. That might be one of the first times. And we were on vacation. There's all sorts of stuff going on.
Had a decent excuse, Bill, with the old grabber there. You know what I'm saying?
This?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's fixed.
Years ago. It's done. Yeah. I'm good. What are you doing? All right.
See you later.
Good topic.
Bye.
Bye.